What's up guys, K-Plays here. We just got ourselves a stunning first look showcase for Title Update 2's upcoming content yesterday, if you don't count Sony accidentally spilling the beans a few days earlier. And I just have to say, it is great to finally have something to talk about in the Monster Hunter space besides all this controversy. I mean, yeah, before we dive into all the new content, I do want to address the elephant in the room that I've been avoiding, but like, really quick fast so we can get to the good stuff. I mean, don't get me wrong, some of the complaints being made are 100% valid. I just haven't wanted to do the whole content creator thing and jump on the complaining bandwagon. But since I brought it up but still refuse to do a full video beating the dead horse that is this topic, I'm gonna speed run through my 2 cents on the matter and then never talk about it again, okay? 3, 2, 1, go. I love Monster Hunter. I love playing Wilds. I'm sure all of you want to love playing Wilds too, right? Of course you do. So when performance issues stop countless players from even being able to play the game enough to love it in the first place, it's kind of a huge problem, right? One that had me unable to play for a few weeks until I got to a bottom of the issue even though it wasn't spoken about directly in the spotlight, which personally I feel like would have been a great show of acknowledgement and good faith towards the player base. I'm hoping that the various issues do eventually get addressed, so we can all go back to talking about what a great series this is, instead of how the bag's being fumbled on the most recent and supposed to be greatest title. Now the difficulty debate, kind of a matter of opinion and varying experience levels, so I don't really want to get into that. The content debate, yeah, the new stuff's been a bit few and far between, but some of the comparisons I've seen to Iceborne and Sunbreak, 2 fully completed expansion titles, are just a bit unfair. Now some of you guys know that I like a bit of leaks with my Monster Hunter every now and then, and after this title update we're going to be delving into some uncharted territory even on the unofficially explored side. What I'm hoping we find there is a turnaround that's being cooked up so well that it turns around narrative on Wild's admittedly rocky start. But we'll see how things progress in September. Alright, done with that. Now on to the main meat and potatoes of this video that we'll fortunately only have to wait a couple days for. The next big title update. As a surprise to absolutely zero longtime fans of the game, and probably very little newcomers as they watch us old heads freak out over a blue foot, Lagiacrus has been shown in all of its remastered HD glory. It's been a long time coming for Laggy to come back, after that initial mention of it being planned for World and sadly scrapped due to the technical issues, then the Leviathan skeleton being worked out in Rise with no sign of it, and then Wilds dropping with actually a surprising number of Leviathans, to now. Shoot, Capcom even teased us with a brand new render made for the Monster Hunter Bridge exhibit in Japan, without any mention of Laggy coming to the games being released at the exact same time. They knew we wanted him. After all, a sizable chunk of the fanbase wouldn't shut up about him. So they had to have known how much excitement that tease from the last trailer and especially the actual reveal yesterday must have built up. Poor Laggy. He's got no idea what's coming for him soon. And apparently, even the water won't keep him safe like it has been since 4th Gen, because we're going to be able to follow him in again. Now, I'm going to come right out and say it. I hated water combat back in 3rd Gen, so seeing this part of the showcase gave me a jump scare at first. With later clips expanding on things even more though, I'm okay with it. What we're going to be getting does not seem to be water combat in the same sense as the original mechanic. It's more like water interaction. Notice that the hunter in these scenes does everything but pull out their weapon. It's mainly swimming and slinger usage for movement and environmental actions. So while we will be following Laggy into the water, we won't be following him all the way back to Tri. They even outright said that we won't be able to use our weapons. So if anyone out there is still holding out hope that this is swimming combat's grand return, well, how many maybe next times does this make it? I kid. But seriously, this is a good thing if you ask me, and not just because I'm biased against the mechanic ever coming back. Capcom's got more than a couple more pressing things to work on for Wilds than adding back in underwater combat features that'll just be used for 1, maybe 3 monsters in a few areas in a single map. Again, I'm not going to go back into that topic, but y'all know what I mean. It'll be a poorly invested effort. A few special actions that work to make a classic monsters fight more nostalgic and immersive though, that I can get behind. Even if you're a fan of the 3rd Gen's gimmick, you gotta admit, using special tools to keep up with and hassle aquatic monsters until you can get them back onto equal footing sounds like a much more practical decision for a hunter to make compared to trying to awkwardly swing around their weapon and swim at the same time. Laggy might not be the only monster we take a swim with though, because we'll be taking on our second arch-tempered monster in a few weeks after the update, Uth Duna. I haven't fought many Uth Duna so far. Not having a hunting horn or armor that benefits hunting horn tends to have that effect on monsters for me, so I'm not too knowledgeable about the fight to see any switch-ups in this trailer at the moment. I will be racking up some hunts before the quest drops to get a little muscle memory built up though, so I'm sure they'll become apparent when it gets here. Uth was actually my first card in Wilds because of some careless play, so we definitely have a score to settle. Actually, think back, Lackey was also my first card in 3U if I'm remembering that right, so I guess July is just going to be full of Leviathan grudge matches for me. I'm interested in Uth's just slightly more at the moment though, because as an AT monster, its armor set probably has more of a chance to shake up the build meta. The skills on the base version's armor are a bit lacking, with peak performance, earplugs, and tool specialist, and a conditional defensive set bonus. But I'm also assuming that it'll give us more options for a Lord Soul mix sets, alongside Arch-Tempered Raidao. For Hunting Horn specifically, earplugs likely won't be too necessary since the most popular secondary horns usually give us the same buff in song form. But who knows? As inefficient as the points are in Wilds, a good enough piece or two for peak performance can make for a strong gimmick build for healing horns. We won't be able to find out for a while since the Arch-Tempered challenge fight won't be released along with the rest of the update. But you know what we will see soon though?
Alan! Oh, that's not Alan. Steve. Steve!
That's right, Steve, aka Seregios, is also making an appearance in Title Update 2. We're checking off yet another fan favorite flagship with this one, and adding in yet another piece of evidence towards the Wilds is secretly a sequel/not sequel to 4U theory. I wonder if it'll clash with Gore and leave us with a frenzied Seregios on our hands to really hammer in the callbacks. But we're getting ahead of ourselves. I cannot wait to take on this giant agile bird of prey to turn this talent into a hunting horn, namely the Macomb Sedition, one of the best horns in the game in its original debut. It sadly hasn't been nearly as good in any of its other appearances since, but hopefully its Wilds iteration turns things back around. I can visually picture it having Echo Wave slicings, and either the purple-red-orange note set for restore sharpness, or a unique weapon skill to bring back its old ability to sharpen when you dodge roll. Maybe it could even have the attack and affinity bubble? Whoa, hold on there. I know Congalala, it's yours for now, but eventually you are going to have to share that with another horn. And speaking of hunting horn, yada yada cosmetics and DLC, skip that. Although I am excited to finally get layered weapons to mix up the looks of all my Ardean horns. Where was I? Oh yeah, speaking of hunting horn, we've got more buffs coming too. And one change that kind of results in a nerf, but I'm getting ahead of myself. Starting with one of the most impactful things on the list, it seems like our Focus Strike is getting even stronger after the last set of buffs. Now, not only will we be able to stock 6 notes instead of 5 with perfectly timed inputs, but you can also choose to immediately drop an Echo Bubble. Both of these are great rewards for proper use of this move, because you can now queue up to 2 Echo Waves without having to throw in another note, before or after the Focus Strike, and then play them in the range of a free bubble you also didn't have to spend time placing. Or if you do want to spend time dropping a second bubble, you have a full set of 3 Echo Waves to go with. Hello, offensive efficiency. Another option for using this would be to throw in a special performance plus an Echo Wave, and as it turns out, 2 of the special performances have been buffed as well. The wording is a little odd on this sentence, but I take it to mean that instead of getting a resounding melody sound blast only if you've landed the third and final physical hit, it now goes off if you landed any of the 3. That means no more having the monster move out of range at the last second and wasting a perfectly good opportunity for big damage. Offset melody, on the other hand, is getting increased iframes on the windup and a fix on the bug that stopped it from properly counting as an offset. These make it an overall stronger defensive move, but even more importantly, you can now blame all of your past failed offsets on a bug. Only the past ones though. After the 30th, that excuse doesn't apply. Now, unfortunately, they've also fixed another bug that most of us probably thought was an intended feature, and this one doesn't quite work out in our favor. Currently, whenever you do a special performance, your notes don't clear from the staff. Most of us probably assume that this was because the special performances are unique attacks rather than songs like any other, so they played by different rules. Apparently though, this was never meant to be how it works, which was a shame because it working that way allowed us to queue all but one note of a special performance, fire one off, and then have another ready to go after just one more swing. As of the next update, that'll no longer be possible. Offset horns shouldn't feel the pain too much because you usually don't want to throw those out back to back, and after the recent Medley of Life buff, you shouldn't really need to spam that much healing either. But resounding spam was definitely a viable strategy that's now going to need some adjusting. Probably wouldn't be a set of hunting horn changes without at least one wrench in the works, but fortunately the other changes get more positive from here. First, mounted playing is coming back. I doubt that its absence after the beta was accidental because they probably would have fixed it a while before now. This is probably a result of several players asking for this back in feedback forums if I had to take a guess. So assuming they really worked to make changes, we all gotta say something about performance speeds, because unless there are a few shadow buffs snuck into the weapon adjustments like last time, It got nothing twice in a row now, while all the rest of the sound-based moves got stronger. It's great having a new move, but not so great when ideal playstyles want to avoid it as much as possible. On the complete opposite end of the spectrum for new moves though, Echo Bubbles are receiving another win in the form of a hitbox increase. We'll have to test and see exactly how much of a change they've made here, but my little Hunting Horn player heart is absolutely filling with hope reading this and imagining all the times where a monster would end up just outside of bubble range becoming a thing of the past. Please, Capcom, just do us a solid there. Lastly, there was an issue fixed for songs incorrectly displaying when you swap between two horns, but since this was the first I'm hearing about that problem, and I don't think I've ever encountered it myself, I can't comment much on it. All that about our beloved Dude 6 set aside though, there's plenty of other things in store for us soon. All the other inferior weapons getting adjustments as well, yeah. Several visual features and cosmetic packs being added. The event quests are going to keep on coming in. As a musical hunter myself, the Fender collab is an interesting choice, although in real life I'm much more of a brass player myself. With recent events surrounding Wilds, I am tentatively optimistic that things can move towards the better from this point onwards. Wilds definitely has some serious potential that I'd love to see realized in the future. So much so that it's looked upon fondly where the fanbase hates on the next new title, just like with Worlds Rise. That cycle must continue. I'm going to enjoy having 3 more monsters to take on, and at least 2 more horns to do and review. We'll be getting back into the regular old swing of things now that we've had more than just the Wilds bad conversation to be had here. In fact, for the first time since it launched, I'll even have a Monster Hunter Now video for you guys since my main was added to the game at long last recently. Until then though, this has been another K-Plays and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day.